some very important things from around the world of sports, and there's been quite a lot happening this week. For the first time, the Parliamentary Select Committee on Sports heard the petition from the demonstrators from the Fix Our Football demonstration conveners, or whatever you want to call it. Bottom line is there has been some probe trying to understand what's wrong with our football and how we can recover from it. Numerous people appeared before the committee. Stephen Appiah was there. He said a few things. I've seen the debate on the timeline. Not a lot of people seem to agree with him. The NSA also appeared and they made propositions. The biggest one being a proposition that they want, no non-sporting activity at any of our stadia until they have procured pitch covers. That's the proposal from the board chairman of the National Sports Authority. He told the Parliamentary Select Committee that they will be. In fact, that's not a proposal. He said they have made a decision to stop every non-sporting event at our national stadia until they've procured pitch covers. He also said, and this one is the proposal, that we want to reserve one stadium just meant for national team football. And no other, not even league football should happen. And he said, like Wembley. That's what he said. Like Wembley. So we'll see. We'll get into that. Stephen Appiah says foreign players struggle in the Black Stars simply because they don't understand the culture and don't speak the language. That's his theory. He said that's why they struggle. He also suggested that not paying monthly salaries to youth team coaches makes them susceptible to accepting bribe in exchange for call-up. That is not entirely new, is it? So we'll see. We'll try and get into that. There's also a lot to talk about from the English Premier League. The Man City versus Arsenal game left a lot of things to be spoken about. The dark arts and what have you. We've got a big game this weekend as well, Spurs, Man United. So we've got a lot from the Premier League that we will get into as well here on the show. And the big one, the Joy Sports Invitational. We launched it last week, bringing together corporate institutions from around the country. We're targeting 24 of them for a day of camaraderie, connection, fun, e-sports. So those who like their FIFA or whatever, you will have a sport for you. Those who like board games, there's a sport for you, from Owari to chess to Ludo to everything, Scrabble, everything will be there. And those that like the physical sport, of course, there'll be football, basketball, volleyball, competition, CEO's Challenge. It's a whole lot. It's on October 26th at the University of Ghana Stadium. We will get into that as well here on the show. So we've got a full plate, and we have a little debate for you. It's been a while since we did that. The debate topic is simple. Now, following the interview with Michael Essien last week, we've been having a lot of conversation. And thanks to all of you for listening and for watching that interview, because the feedback I've had on it has been amazing. But it's raised a lot of questions about where Michael Essien truly stands in terms of Ghana football. So question ultimately is Essien the biggest export of Ghanaian football to Europe? Is Michael Essien Ghana's biggest football export to Europe? Bear in mind, all of the other players that have played and succeeded in Europe in the time that Ghana started exporting players to Europe. And the list is long. But is Essien the biggest one? Or maybe Abedi Pele? Maybe Stephen Appiah? John, maybe? Andre Ayew, maybe? Tony Yeboah, maybe? Sami Kufuor, maybe? So that's the debate. Who, in your opinion, is the Ghana's biggest football export to Europe? Who will that be? Is Essien the one, or you have a different view? If you have a different view, or if you think Essien is the one, let me know. Send me a message, 055-111-1997. 055-111-1997. The show is also streaming on X Spaces, so leave me a message there on that platform. Use the hashtag GamePlan, and I will retweet your messages. Is Michael Essien Ghana's biggest footballing export to Europe? If no, who is for you? and why do you say so? All right. So get in touch with me. The show is live and interactive. It's proudly brought to you by Patrosaur. I'll tell you more about them as well here on the show. And Betway are also back on the show. So we'll tell you more about them in a jiffy. Thanks so much for joining us here on the show. All right. Now, I've got my guesting here seated. We've got a lot to go through, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time. I'm going to introduce them. Guys, welcome to the show. Sichofe, Philip Ashri. Daniel Krantz. Muftau Nabila Abdullah. DK, where is that one from?
The shock safe.
Do you have a cough?
Why would I have a cough?
What was that?
Start again.
Switch off a Philip Achiri.
I won't go over this. But you can the shot for you. Somebody's blowing on fire. Say start again. You two, you are doing it. You there, you're the host. You are doing it. I've done what I always do. He has coughed into a mic. They ask him if he has a cough. He says, "Why would he have a cough?" Start again. Then you two are starting. Then you want me to play along. DK, you don't shock.
It's one of us shock.
So you can't start making cough again or what?
What is wrong?
Sicho, Muftan Nabila Abdullah. Oh God. Oh God. Guys, welcome to the show, man.
Yo,
What had? Which way you had?
Listen, Sicho, we've got a lot to get through. Beginning with the select committee issue, I want us to get that on the way. You heard some of the proposals. First, Stephen Appiah's thoughts on why he thinks foreign-based players are struggling. And this is an important issue because it's coming from a former Ghana football captain. So it's very important to interrogate and try to understand whether he has a valid point and whether we need to redesign our approach towards bringing players into the national team. As for the issue of paying national youth team coaches salaries, that's not an issue we'll go over. We said it many times, and we've established the reasons. Those are very important. But that particular issue that he mentioned is important to me. And then the NSA's own decision to close down the stadium to any non-sporting activity. And then the proposal to reserve one stadium just for national team football and no league football. And he spoke to the fact that if they didn't close Accra Sports today, he said 4 class would have played there. He said, how can we survive like that? And that's what he said. Anyway, so pick of the lot. I'm not sure where you want to begin with, but maybe on Stephen Appiah's thoughts.
Yeah. When Stephen said that, my big question, the question for me was that how are other African countries doing it and doing it successfully, right? We've seen how Nigeria are able to integrate a lot of these foreign players who were not born here, some of them don't speak the local Nigerian language. However, when they turn up, they fit. We've seen Trustekon go on to become their captain. We've seen Ademola Lookman being immensely important to them in the more recent AFCON. There are many other players who were not necessarily born in Nigeria but have excelled. Alexi Wobi is done same.
Simon.
So the list goes on and on. Victor Moses. The list goes on and on with Nigerian athletes. And even Cote d'Ivoire as well. There were many Ivorian players who were born in France and other places who have come to play for the Ivorian national. We saw in the more recent AFCON, Seko Fofana, who is French, is come to play for Cote d'Ivoire. And he was one of the, if you like, star players during the competition. So makes me wonder what we are doing right. Now, when we speak of the North Africans, DS I can put in a different context because a country like Algeria, most of the boys they brought from France, they either speak French or they are also Muslims, so they speak the Arabic. So when it comes to language, which is also culture, it's easy for them to fit. But that's why I use Nigeria as an example because they are close. I use Cote d'Ivoire as an example because we are in the same region.
Yes.
But the North Africans, they are players who are coming from France and these places. They'll speak the French, they'll speak the Arabic. So sometimes they fit in well, right? And so it is not necessarily true, in my opinion, that players are not excelling in Ghana because of language.
Or culture?
Or language is still culture. So yeah, I think I add all of that. I add all the culture.
So you can
let's
put
say
all
culture.
of that under culture.
Under culture, yeah. It is just.
Do you think so though? Because I maybe I have a slightly different opinion.
But when I said Nigeria
Yes.
are doing it,
Yes.
it's working.
Yes.
I gave examples. Ademola Lookman, they no born for the by the ball.
Yes.
Victor Moses,
Yes.
super. Peter Odiwingi in his days, he was brilliant.
Yes.
Like there are many
Yes,
players. Even
yes.
Cote d'Ivoire, we saw Seko Fofana, who only came to play for Cote d'Ivoire in the more recent months,
Yes.
ahead of the AFCON, and it was a big star for them, right? So there are many countries, many countries who have adopted players from different backgrounds who have come in to excel. Look, football in itself has a universal language, or it's a universal language. Football, you don't need to be from one country to be able to perform in that country. I don't think it is true.
But you also cannot underestimate or dismiss the influence of camaraderie in performance, playing for each other, knowing each other, understanding
No, that one.
your teammates. Because the Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire example that you gave,
Yes.
they're performing.
Yes.
He has not said that the reason we are not performing is because they weren't born here, or he said it's because they don't understand the culture. So maybe those countries have a way of making them understand the culture.
It's
Do
football.
we have a cultural integration program with the Black Stars?
So I was going to come to all of that. I'm saying that
Okay.
football in itself is a language.
Yes.
If you're a good player, you're a good player. Nobody can convince me that if Mbappe steps on the pitch in Morocco
Ghana,
or in
with
Ghana,
the Blaster,
he
are
can't
you
play.
sure that if you put Mbappe in this Blaster,
You're saying Mbappe can't play because he can't tell Elijah Owusu to give him a pass because he can't say pass me. He can't play.
That's not it.
But you're saying they don't speak the language. Is that not the barrier? But what I'm saying is, a good player is a good player. Football in itself is a language. Look, when you do when Ghana was playing well, when you see, and this thing there are excuses. So when Ghana was playing well, the likes of Christy Owusu-Abeye, when they got the ball, they could play. Oh,
You've even gone far, Kevin.
Kevin, please,
now I want to go far. I'm coming.
KPV made his competitive debut for Ghana
Charlie,
in a World Cup game.
against Latvia. No.
I said
Yeah.
competitive
That
debut. Don't
competitive
understand
game.
English
Yeah,
or
that's
what?
true.
so you see, when the team is good and the team is well coached and the coach is able to tell the players what to do on the pitch, that culture thing, it's an excuse, and it's a good thing.
Others have spoken about it though.
Oh, listen, I'm telling you that.
What's his name?
Kwarase has
Kwarase.
spoken
Most notably, I interviewed him.
Kwarase, see,
He said he felt very left out in camp most of the time.
the Kwarase problem was the players' problem. The players formed their own cliques. The camp in itself had its own cliques, and Kwarase fell out of the clique. Even till now, there are people who were born in Ghana who go to camp and feel like
I feel
they are-
lonely.
Yes, they speak Tree, they speak Ghana, they speak Hausa. Kwarase's issue is not about the fact that he wasn't born here. He just didn't have a constituency in camp. And that thing, at the time Kwarase came to the Black Stars, that thing had emerged and was becoming strong. He came to the Black Stars at the wrong time, in my opinion. And even up until I'm not close to the team now, I don't know, but up until even the recent World Cup, those cliques were still there. There were camps, there were factions. Nobody can convince me that you guys don't know that there was a Ayus and the Wakato faction and there were other factions. So if you're not part of these factions, you are left out. It's the same thing with Kwarase.
So that's the issue.
That is the issue. So the culture you are talking about is not a Ghanaian culture. It's the team culture.
Right.
Let's not make it like someone that
Because when
uses Banku.
Appiah was there was a Stephen Appiah camp, which was the national team,
Yes.
which was every player.
Everybody under the same
Right.
umbrella. Then it started breaking apart, and then Kwarase Dems came, and then they fell out of every group. So nobody
And
assimilated them.
interestingly, before Stephen Appiah, that was the issue.
That was the issue. And even people who were born in Ghana went into camp and they didn't feel like they were part of any group. So the Kwarase thing wasn't because he was half-co. It was simply because he didn't have a constituency. So let's not make it like because he was a foreign player. They were players who were born in Ghana, speak Tree, eat Banku, Fufu, who didn't have a constituency in the camp.
So we have major
major
cultural issues with this thing, which we
Yes.
are talking about in
It's
the
a
past,
football
right?
culture. It's not somebody who was born here or somebody who was not born.
Danny
Football
K,
is
is
a
that what
language
you
in
think?
itself.
Not necessarily. I think Appiah has a point. He's talking from a place of experience, and you see the fact that a problem exists doesn't mean that results can't be achieved on the pitch. That's also something that we need to understand. Two truths can exist, and there are also certain times that when something is not working properly off the pitch, it can also affect what is happening on the pitch. And I think that's where Appiah is coming from. look, Tony Bafo has spoken about how his early days were sort of difficult. That's one of the reasons why he's very intentional about calling for proper cultural integration for some of these foreign-born players coming into the team.
Yeah.
The fact that KP did well in the Black Stars doesn't mean KP didn't have a problem integrating with the team. The fact that Quincy,
or maybe even that there was an integration plan for him, and the others maybe he felt more comfortable.
Yeah, Quincy didn't
Are you
last.
assuming or you're saying that's
Quincy didn't last in the Black Stars. Quincy didn't last in the Black Stars. When you look at his talent and look at where he was, we obviously would have wanted him to spend a bit more time at the top. It didn't work out for him. So even that, I think we can use him as one of my examples, not Sichu's examples.
No, wait, too. He fell off the Black Star because of his club performances. He didn't maintain. It's at that time the Black Stars were competitive.
Even the Black Stars.
Yeah.
Quincy had one tournament, just one.
After which, at the club side, when he was coming to the Black Stars,
He wasn't playing.
No, he was at the highest level.
But he wasn't playing.
Agreed. He was bursting onto the scene like a promising player. After which he fell off.
When we called
2 years later,
he was falling off.
Oh no,
2008 AFCON. 2008
promising.
AFCON. When Appiah was playing for Black Stars.
He was. That was his age.
I think when we called him to the Black Stars, he was probably like 25.
What I know is 2006 when we were going to the 2008. Sorry, when we were going to the AFCON, the one we hosted. Now on board, he wasn't playing, and then he came and he played for us. 2010. When we were going to the World Cup, he was playing.
He was what?
2008. He was at Sparta Moscow.
He was.
So what? But how many? Where you playing?
The point I'm making.
Sparta Moscow is a big team. No, it's a big team. What are you saying? That's what I'm saying. In 2008, at the time we called him, he was.
Sparta like Moscow is a big team in Russia. Where
in Europe?
Yes. Where in 3 years he played 29 times. When in a single season you can play 38 games.
No, I agree. I'm saying.
So I'm saying that he was. So if he feeds back to the point that I'm saying, he wasn't even playing there.
He wasn't even playing there.
Agreed. I'm saying that when we called him after his one tournament that he played, his career went that way. So we didn't even call him back. It wasn't because he didn't settle in Ghana. So we might be on the same path. After that call-up, his career went down. He didn't do anything to merit a call-up or anything.
Well, my point is that even before.
Fair enough.
Thank you. Let's go on. So
Anyway.
it's not like he was on top shot.
Yeah.
And then before we called him,
Yeah.
He had left Arsenal and he wasn't, no disrespect, but he
wasn't balling.
He wasn't going anywhere.
In fact,
so,
of all the examples you gave, you forgot Gino Agogo.
Manuel Agogo, Boga. Striker.
May he so rest in
then
peace.
go on.
My point is this argument or this debate can be likened to the pitch issue. Okay, the fact that the Angolans didn't play in the sky and they won doesn't mean that the pitch was doesn't mean the pitch was good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Two truths can coexist. The pitch is bad, fix it. It doesn't mean that that's the main problem of the Black Stars, but it is still a problem, and that's why I think Appiah is coming from. There needs to be a deliberate cultural integration program for some of these guys. Because even the Nigerians, that's the funny thing. This look my example we were giving. I was laughing because I don't know if you remember Fence, but when we went to Nigeria, Abuja for the playoff, they didn't even want to see him on the pitch there. He was struggling. They were calling him Oyibo. These Oyibo people. Those are the sort of comments where these Oyibo people they can't play.
Yes.
That was a narrative.
issue.
But it has taken time, and now he's been able to settle, and now he's playing. Now I use him as a positive example, but. When he came first, he was facing the same struggle that Appiah is talking about in terms of cultural integration.
I don't think of cultural integration.
It was.
But do you remember the abuse?
I think he was a player who himself was struggling at the time. When he was leaving Everton and going to Atalanta, he had a spell. He go Leicester sometimes or something.
No, the guy his entire career he's been struggling.
Yes.
His entire career.
So I don't think it was because there are Nigerians who struggle and they won't tell them they're Oyibo. But because he is a foreigner, when he struggles, they'll tag him with that.
Right.
But I don't think it was a
But the abuse, Alex Iwobi, to the extent that the guy even had to come out.
So you finish up your point.
You see, my issue is, I don't think Appiah, and when I listen to him, I don't think he meant to come across as that's the main reason why the team. It is a contributing factor to why some of these players are struggling to settle down in the Black Stars, which is true.
That's true.
So I think that, and you see, you can't oppose somebody who is coming from a place of experience. You've not been there before. I've not been there before. He has sat with a team. He has captained the team. He has been in a dressing room with a group of players, and he can tell somebody who might be playing well but is not happy to be there. So if he's saying that this is one of the issues, then I don't see the reason
merit.
why. Yeah, I think there's merit to it, and there's a reason why we should look into it and try and solve it.
Yeah, and the fact that other players who are actually in that very situation or have been in that situation have complained about it, there is an issue. Once Kwarase has mentioned it, and Appiah himself has come out to say that he believes it's one of the reasons, and he talks to this player. So I think this is a matter that we've all discussed in the past, that as much as possible, there needs to be a massive cultural integration plan if we intend on constantly relying on all these players born abroad who may not necessarily understand certain nuances, especially even with the national team. A lot of them don't even know the Jama songs. They just clap along. Is it? It's team culture. Jama need. It's team culture.
Sometimes
you mentioned it.
I wanted to run some numbers as well, because sometimes we can look at players who are not born in Ghana, who have played for the Black Stars, and those who have excelled and those who have struggled. I think those who have excelled are way more than those who have struggled, right? I think there are many players.
You mean the foreign-born players?
Yeah. I think there are many of them who are not born here who have excelled. But I agree with Danny. The fact that some people have excelled in it doesn't mean that the cultural assimilation that we've spoken about doesn't have to be done. Because when you look at a player like Tariq Lamptey in this terrible period for the Black Stars, when he has played, most often than not, I think he's looked okay. Right, he's looked very okay. But this is a player who didn't have his training here. This is a player who doesn't necessarily have the what we would call the constituency here, but he's done well. Yeah, there are some other players as well who
actually Jiku.
Alexander Jiku as well has come in, and he's been very. I don't think Antoine Semenyo's outputs as a person, as an individual, has been bad. It's just not been able to find the goals that we think he should be scoring. So I think we can look at the numbers, and when I look at the numbers, I don't think
Elisha plays as well. It's not bad.
When I look at the numbers, I don't think that it's they really struggled. There are few high level players who have struggled, who have not been born in, who have struggled, but there are many of them who have come and then they've been able to play. So that is why I'm saying that it's not necessarily the issue for me.
All right, this is what
I asked Stephen.
This is what Stephen Appiah said just before you come in. Okay. In case those of you who are listening are wondering what exactly he said, this is what he said.
We that we are coming from here, you know how it is to wear that shirt. And these foreign-based players, some of them, they can't even speak our local language. So we go to the camp. It's not like our time that after lunch or after dinner, we see them, we try to interact, we try to mock each other, we do our prayers and all that. But today, if you go to the camp, because they don't know the culture, so they find it difficult to adapt. But it's not a matter of respect, or they don't respect the coaches. I haven't seen such a thing.
So that's Stephen up here. Muftal.
So Stephen and I spoke yesterday. I wanted to have a clear understanding of that culture thing that he spoke about, and because I asked him a question.
You know, you could have made your point without telling us that you spoke to Stephen.
Oh yeah. It's a crucial part because
it brings credibility to what he's about to say.
Why should he leave it out?
I need to understand, because I asked the question. You mentioned culture. How do we get the players to assimilate and be a part of the team?
He gave you some ideas?
He did. So in our conversations, one of the things he mentioned, and in fact, the clear thing he actually told me that he communicated was a change in environment will always have an impact in an individual. Mm-hmm. So he believed that when the players switch nationality to Ghana, by virtue of the fact that they've changed an environment, we will need to create a certain environment for them to be able to be a part of it. So for instance, we all heard him spoke about how when they go to camp, there was a way they brought everyone under one umbrella. Everyone was part of a family. And Sichu spoke about the constituencies that were created somewhere 2013, 2014. When those constituencies were created, it made it very difficult for players to come in and find themselves a constituency, because it became very political. And if you don't want to be part of the politics, you get left out, as you mentioned with the example of Adam Larson Kwarase. So Stephen Appiah believes that one of the things we can do is to break that thing of constituencies within the camp. We are all out there for one goal.
It's not possible.
Trust me, you might have friends, right? But when we go out there, we are out there in the interest of the country.
Of course.
We don't go on the field with, because Fentio is my colleague or Fentio is my brother, he's the person I want to give the ball to score. Because hitherto, in as much as he had very good friends, and he would always tell you, Lai Kinsey was his friend. Michael Essien was his friend. Sule Mutari was his friend. In fact, John Mensah, he was very close to John Mensah. But that that did not stop them from saying that, Dankwe is playing, or Sheila Eliassi is playing, or Habib Mohammed is playing, and these players are not my good friends in the team, I will not give them passes.
Do you think, or does he believe that's the problem? That's a problem right now in the Black Stars?
In fact, he actually spoke about leadership when he appeared before the committee. He said that when he takes a look at the team of today, he appears as a challenge in terms of leadership. And that's a leadership challenge. He believes that as a leader, you need to be able to break that ice and make everyone be a part of the family. And in fact, just before we heard Stephen Appiah, Sicho and Danu were talking about the importance of grooming our players from the youth levels to be able to assimilate and grow with us. If they are not part of us and grow with us, and we just call them to come to the national team, the Black Stars, we are dropping them in the middle of the sea, and we expect them to swim through the tide, which is a very difficult thing for anyone to be able to do.
That is true.
So I agreed with Stephen Appiah when he said that a switch in nationality for them to come and play in Ghana, we must create an environment for them to be able to perform,
to thrive,
to thrive. Because if we don't create that environment,
I mean, that cannot hurt, can it? It cannot hurt.
It cannot hurt.
Okay, you want to add to that?
Another important thing, the difference between Appiah's time and this time. The number of foreign-based players we are bringing into the team now will be much more difficult to control now than then. Then they were like 20 players, then they bring like 3. So you will find, let's say, an Appiah and Agogo. Out of the 2008 squad, there was Appiah and Agogo. So they are coming into a settled environment.
Baruso born in Ghana.
Baruso be Ghana boy. Baruso be Ghana boy.
He said who?
He said
Baruso.
Baruso.
Yeah.
Oh, born and bred.
You remember that shot?
I don't remember anything.
You know, I was at
the
the stadium. I was seated at where we considered the goal. So I was like directly like seeing him this way. Charlie, I was standing, I was jumping, and I see him score some long range for Roma ahead of the AFCON. So Charlie, I knew. Look, I knew that was it.
You go feed do.
Then bro.
Is Danny K's good friend or? He interviewed him on that very incident.
He said the balls have no good.
He said the ball no good.
They go take first ball for car for first car give up.
What did he say was his reason for going to claim that boy? He said
he said at training, he was on free kick duty at training.
I don't doubt
he outscored Essien, Muntari them. And in fact, he told me to go and watch the tape again. So I want to watch. If you watch the tape, when they caught Essien, or they handed the ball
but
to.
But
it wasn't a discussion. It wasn't a discussion.
That you are the same.
Yeah, Charlie, you are here, so take the ball. And everybody knew that if he set his body like that,
he like Bobby.
The power.
He said in that interview, it was 2020, correct?
Yeah.
That
COVID.
When he went back, Francesco Totti told him that the moment he stood behind the ball, he knew he was going to hit off target. And he said his body positioning
was off.
He said everything was just wrong.
Then it was very, very wrong.
Yeah. He opened up in that interview. I think people should find it and watch. It was 4 years ago. Daniel interviewed him. But finish your point for me. Are you done?
Yeah, I was just saying that entering a settled environment, okay, for 1 or 2 players entering a certain environment will be easier for them to assimilate than a group, a chunk of them entering an environment that is already not settled. So we are in a transition period. Most of these guys, you can count the number of Black Stars players in this current team that have been in the team for 5+ years. You can count them. So the group has already not settled.
That's what
Then you are
Yeah,
bringing
adding
5-10 players who are new. It's
There was a period
recipe
where
for
within
disaster.
1 week we announced like 5
Charlie
telling you.
signings.
with artwork.
Where out
Like
of
we
them
were
like
signing-
2 pair.
Yes.
Out of them only like 2 have played.
Like we were signing players for club side. Hey, Ghana.
I remember I just remembered a player like Kofi just walked into the team and he was brilliant.
Yeah, that's true.
No. Let's don't do that.
No, he struggled at the
Kofi
beginning.
Treke
Yeah.
is sad his
Yeah,
first
he
like
struggled-
2-3
he
games.
struggled at the
This one went to the
beginning.
AFCON where the guy goes
wait.
That guy couldn't even carry the ball.
Let's have that conversation.
His
because
first
Kofi Treke's
brilliant
first
game.
2-3 games, he couldn't even carry the ball.
wait. Kofi Treke came into you see, when we talk about players assimilating, I don't want it to equate it to only non-performance. I'm looking at a player who has walked into the team doesn't look lost. When Kofi Treke came into the team, yes, his first few games were not great.
But he looked
He
settled.
looked settled. That's the difference. So
Part of the
because
squad,
you
yeah.
have a Ghanaian who was born here, he was it doesn't mean he doesn't look a part of the team.
And then Semenyo
That-
is not
that's
because Semenyo looks settled.
That's what I'm saying.
That's fair enough.
But
All right.
Inaki they look lost.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh,
Suki.
that's the
Thank you,
thing.
Daniel.
No, I understand.
Taylor Marek sent me a message. He says that everything Appiah is saying is all facts. He says so. That's that. Lots of you have also sending in your messages on 055 1111997. Lots of you leaving messages under the Twitter or X live space as well. So let me just go to some of them. Francis Evina only just came to say that you guys are looking sharp in the studios. Anything about Ghana doesn't work anymore, and I don't know why. He says, and Stephen Ronald Boche, he says Sule Ali Muntari is Ghana's biggest football export, as far as I'm concerned. So we did ask that question: who do you think is Ghana's biggest football export to Europe? Harmonia Walisli, he says Ghana's biggest export should hands down be Asamoah Gyan, considering his impact both in Europe and Asia and even till today. People use his name as leverage, especially in the Arab countries. Man is a proper baller. And I've got more messages here. And I'm reading these messages from Twitter, by the way. So those of you who are on X listening to us, leave me a message there. I'll get it for you. Penanda says, the minister said we should give him numbers before we can say he's the West Sports Minister. Give him the numbers. I should give him the numbers.
Say with data. What data you use?
And it says, what did we do better around Kevin Boateng for him to excel playing for the Black Stars? That's an interesting one. Nana Jan, he says, but I think there's an oversimplification of the whole cultural thing. More messages here. Good afternoon to the sports crew. Today, the football fraternity, it says, today the football fraternity is nothing to write home about, and the Akufo-Addo and Baumia. I urge all the sports media houses to come together and vote out the MPP. John Mahama is ready to reset the Ghana Football Association or the Ministry of Youth and Sports. Abochi Philip from Keta. Abochi, you have hope, but fair enough for sending through your message. You have Shre Wajani. Stanley Nachimota says, one player who has blended well with the Blasters is German-born Daniel Kofi. Right. Sicho just spoke about it. He takes part in all the German sessions. Do you remember the video when he received his first Blasters jersey for his debut call-up? Yeah, I remember. He did a whole unveiling video thing. It was great to see. So he does look very settled. This one says, the bed in the studio, Charlie. Caliber won't be bad crowd. Anyway, so keep your messages coming, 055 1111997. We've got a debate to come here on the show, like I said. Who, in your opinion, is Ghana's biggest football export to Europe? Michael Essien, Stephen Appiah, Jan, Abedi Pele, Kofo Sami, Tony Yeboah. It's an interesting lineup. We will talk Joy Sports Invitational very shortly, but I want you guys to listen to this, okay? And then let me know what you think.
We've also directed that none of our sporting stadiums should be used for no other activity other than sporting activities until such time that we can hold claim to pitch covers. So, as a country, I've had discussion with our Minister of Finance through our sector minister to see how urgently they can help, because we are also mandated to generate revenue.
Stoneboy concert off. Shatawale concert. Oh, Charlie, this December, then you go hard. Muftau, is that practicable? Sicho, you're going to say something. Let me put
check
it
like-
out.
no, let's say check like the Vulcan rents
No,
now,
Sicho
car
be the
park
guest.
for
Make it talk.
Sicho, is that practicable?
Now I was going to say that check like the Vulcan rents the car park. What a car park.
You mean the MGL car park?
Yeah, actually. That means check like.
The car park too right now is not even available to us.
No, that's why we are pimping it to the standard so that when they come, they will be available. Yeah.
Okay. But
It is.
Mufta, on a more
It is.
serious note.
It is because
So, because they've already closed it, so now all they have to do is not open it.
not open it. Okay. So I don't know. Sancho, you're putting me in a very difficult corner.
How?
I don't know who this
How? I'm shocked. Do you work for the
I
NSA?
don't know who this
What is the meaning of this? How?
Relax.
Why is this?
When I say you're putting me in a very difficult corner, you know exactly what I'm
I
talking
don't know.
about.
I don't know
You don't know
anything.
anything.
As you see, look at my face. Innocent. I don't know anything, Muftau. What's the corner?
Okay. So it is practicable.
Okay.
Government give them subvention, though it is not enough.
When was the last time they gave them?
Oh, even the first quarter was like the first quarter of this year was like 87,000 cities or so. In fact,
Charlie, let's talk these jokes.
okay, so let me go through the figures for you if you have the time. Just a moment.
We don't have time to go through the figures.
why?
Bottom line, the money they are giving them is not enough.
It's not enough. It's not enough. In fact, when they rented out the facility to the church in Kumasi, they made about 1 million Ghana cedis from renting
And
it
the
out.
whole government gives them 87 for a quarter.
That was for the first quarter of the year. They
Oh,
gave them
God.
87,000 cedis.
And now they want to close all the stadia to all these activities.
Oh yes, but because
Well, they did say that it was on condition that until they acquire pitch covers. So
Yes.
it's not in perpetuity. Let's
No,
clarify.
You see, the biggest challenge that they actually have, from where I sit, is that they have huge expenses to take care of, right? And when you go through some of their figures, in fact, their electricity bill alone, July 2024, when I saw the figure, it was about 22,743. This was just for Second D, the Second D stadium, which is not being used for any activity.
Are people stealing the electricity? Because the stadium has not hosted anything in God knows how long. How is 1 month accruing 22,000? Or is that an accumulation over the years?
Oh no, it's not an accumulation.
So
over
what
the
is
years.
on there? Or there are people occupying some offices there and they're not paying rent? Are they paying
In
rent?
fact, at the Accra Sports Stadium alone, they pay close to 80,000
Yes,
per
because
month.
there's a lot of activity there. I get
Yes.
it. I'm concerned about secondly where I don't know how much.
That's when that one is 22,000.
All right. So how from you have a lot of sources. From what you've picked up, are there active plans in place to procure these pitch covers?
Oh yeah. In fact, there was a meeting at Alisa Hotel on 11th September, if my memory serves me right. Following that meeting, that was where an instruction was given to the NSA to procure pitch covers as soon as possible. So I'm sure within the shortest possible time, if they are committed to doing it, those pitch covers should come, because the order came from Jubilee House for them to procure those
Can
pitch
I
covers.
ask, what's a pitch cover like? How did it look like?
The ones they want to procure, or in general? You're
In
asking-
general, I'm asking in general what pitch covers are like. Is it the one that when you're doing opening ceremony, they used to cover the pitch, they put down solid soap?
We don't want any carpet, no. So there are different kinds of. We have our own way of covering the pitch, which is not very standard, and the way we do it is like exactly as you described, like what we saw
but if
during
FIFA
the
are
African
doing-
Games.
No, FIFA are doing opening ceremony.
Yes.
They use some things to cover it.
Yes, and those things, yes, that's the one we have to, because those things don't lie on the grass directly. It's an elevation. It's more or less like a small stage on its own, so it's not suppressing the grass. What we like to do here is just buy a big carpet, tapoli, and come and roll it on the grass and call it pitch covering. That's not exact. You suffocate the grass. You can't do that.
So the reason why I'm asking is that to cover any grass, right? The kind of grass matters. You see, these things that
Yes.
when FIFA are doing this thing, see, this program that you rent the stadium for, I was discussing with Danny. Some of them, they take 3 days to set up.
Yes.
They take 3 days to set down. That is 6 days. With the kind of grasses we have and pitches that we build here in Ghana, if you're going to use these pitch covers, even though they have elevations to cover them, By the time you take them off after 6 days, they'll be browning.
That's what we're saying.
You deny them of sunlight, you deny them of water when those things are covered, right? And so, look, for me, I've always said it. The infrastructure we have in Ghana wasn't built for multi-purpose events. It was built for just football.
Especially the pitches.
Yes, especially the playing surface.
Yes,
it wasn't built for multi-purpose. It was built for just football.
I agree.
If we want to now go into using the facility for these things, then we need to reconstruct. We need to rethink and reconstruct the infrastructure to suit that purpose.
Yeah,
it is for nothing. You think it's for nothing that Real Madrid built their stadium and built it the way they built it for concerts and Emirates and the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and they're able to fold pitches and all of that because they think about the things they can use it for. We see them do it, and you're like, we have a playing pitch, so we can do some. We can't,
because in fact, Real Madrid and Spurs and they don't even cover the pitch anymore.
No,
they remove the pitches and put them under.
Yes, and while it is under, they give it artificial sunlight.
Yes.
They give it water, so the pitch is enjoying
as
life.
As it is.
Let me read something from the UK's Ground Management Association.
Yes.
Okay, this is where the various clubs take their info from in managing their pitches. It's talking about pitch covers, and it is a flat sheets. It's one of the standard pitch covers. This is a paragraph. It says the grass will become stressed if the cover has to be in place for 3 days or more due to reduced size. So you can't even. Masa.
Bottom line, covering the crown.
Masa,
it's another problem. It's another problem.
Interesting.
So
all right,
anyway,
we need a different kind. No, I agree with you 100%.
I also would say that it is also not, if you like, wise in 2024 to have a stadium that can host concerts, because that is big money. In fact, but you went to San Siro.
Yes.
Milan and Inter are fighting the council because they want to build a stadium they can own and dash it out.
Yes. Yes.
But the council is saying, but if you build that in San Siro, who should come and use it?
So
they are frustrating them from.
And I think the bottom line will be what we all agree, that we need to rebuild the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Not reconstruct a new stadium, but we can relay the pitch.
Yes.
Okay. And
by considering the fact that we want to use it for multi things.
Because I agree with that this natural grass that we have there, if you cover it for 3 days, who be grass, who be cover now, the grass will die and all that stress.
It will die painfully.
It will die.
It will die a painful death.
It will die.
Pressure, Charlie, you kill it.
It will die a painful death. So government's subvention, it's been reducing over the years.
So I actually said 87,000. In fact, the first quarter was 84,000.
And then they got 240,000 from the second quarter. They've not received anything for third quarter, which is just ending. Yeah. And then fourth quarter we don't know how much they will get. But in full years, 2021, okay, in full years, 2021, they got 835,000. In 2022, they got 287,000. In 2023, they got a lot of money, 1.2 million. And so far in 2024, they've received 324. So it looks like it's fluctuating. Today it is high.
And in fact,
and note that this year, note that the standard the cost for the standard pitch maintenance for a week.
Yes.
Standard pitch maintenance for a week is 25,000 and upwards. That's just for the pitch.
For just pitch.
So 25,000 Ghana cedis. And upwards. Yeah. For I'm doing estimates. Your standard one. Mm-hmm. If it's not a Blaster is come to play, if you just want to maintain it proper for a week, 25,000. Look at the money they are mentioning.
It's not enough.
Electricity hasn't come in. Water hasn't come in.
Yeah.
You see, I come to close it down to Shatawale. Open the tail. Let's go.
All right, bottom line. Listen, this is Game Plan. It's live on 99.7 Joy FM. Hits 103.9 FM. Proudly brought to you by Petrosol and Betway. Petrosol is asking you if you are, of course, getting ready to buy fuel. Make sure you buy the very best. And you have to understand that every drop matters just as every penny counts. And you have to know that good quality fuel enhances your vehicle performance and reduces maintenance costs. So don't take any risk in times like this. All you need is value for your money. Look no further. Drive to the next Petrosol fuel station for your clean, accurate quantity fuel suitable for new technology vehicles. Don't buy some chen fuel and then after some time your car will be doing jerking like something. So be a happy customer, filled with smiles, drive more miles and save some money. Petrosol, your clean, quality fuel in full quantity. Petrosol, always a delightful experience. And Betway, all right. Are you ready to get way more chances to win with Betway? Every single day, you have the key to unlock 5 free spins on the Mega Money Wheel, where you stand to win a massive 1 million Ghana Cedi jackpot. It's a new thing that they've introduced. So what are you waiting for? Log in today. Take your spin. All thanks to Betway. Terms and conditions apply. It's regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana, and always bet the responsible way. Betway, get way more. We'll be right back. We've got a huge debate here to come, plus all the shenanigans from the Man City Arsenal game and the big one, Joy Sports Invitational. We'll have a very special guest joining us to briefly talk about that event coming up on October 26th. We'll be right back. October 26th, the Jama will be she. And that's because on October 26th, we'll be at the University of Ghana Stadium for the Joy Sports Invitational, bringing corporate bodies together for a day of camaraderie, food, connection, games, and what have you. I think the biggest highlight is the CEO's challenge. And because of that, we here at the Multimedia Group have brought in our own COO, Chief Executive Officer, COO, Chief Operations Officer.
Yeah.
Hold on.
What did you have for breakfast today? Because Charlie, COO and Chief Operating.
Hey, hold on. Chief Organizing Officer.
That was the work.
Kenneth Answer is here.
Charlie,
Chief
Overseer Officer. Charlie, you have to do it all over again because you see, depending on how well you do it, you may end up getting a jollof treat for everybody in the studio.
You have a point.
Nathaniel
Ato, welcome to the show. You wait to be introduced.
Charlie, don't worry.
I'm introducing COO. You have jumped in.
No, but you see, I don't have to be introduced. When the COO is here, who else needs to be introduced?
How can you even introduce the CEO before introducing that? You save the best for the last. So once you've introduced the CEO, you skip that.
Case closed.
Thank you, DK. Chief Ken, how are you?
I am good.
You are in trouble.
See.
They said last week, Tuesday, when we launched the Invitational, you were on TV challenging certain individuals. Then you left out a lot of other individuals who have come to challenge you. So today you have come to rectify it. Challenge them back.
That's not entirely true.
I
was going to challenge as many people as possible, and you guys said there wasn't enough time.
We don't have time. Today you have enough time. Today you have enough time.
Well, I doubt we will have enough time because there is a long list of people to be challenged.
Joy Sports Invitational. We have all the time for it. It is our program. It is our program. It is our program.
We will have more time going forward.
Yes,
so we'll challenge some people today.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
One program, one challenge.
So the CEO's challenge is where you come in.
Well,
the penalty shooter.
Will you be training?
I don't want people aiming at me when I'm on the field, and so when you put it that way, then kind of you are positioning me to become a target.
Are you aware that can I say aware that penalty kick they don't tackle?
I was informed over the weekend.
But we are back now. It's been a while since we last had the event, but we are back bigger and better. I mean, from your point of view, you must be very excited that we are bringing this back because you get to play.
Indeed, I am. Not so much the fact that I get to play because I play quite often even in between seasons.
Nice one.
So
nice one.
Stop.
He doesn't only do live and spoon.
No.
He plays.
No.
No. In season and out of season.
Fair enough.
I'm always active.
Fair enough.
The difference here is that for our cherished partners, for all the CEOs out there, for our business partners we work with every day, we haven't given them this opportunity to interact in a while.
Right.
And I believe the whole essence is to get that feel back and give some of them the bragging rights, the opportunity to own the bragging rights.
Right.
But also to put the brands out there and get them to bond and, that whole exercising and getting people in the mood
and drink beer
ahead of December.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yep.
Yes. The election is very important because that's our tagline for this year. Play for peace. Okay?
Exactly.
That's what we're doing. Play for peace.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
So, Ken, which people are you very much interested in seeing on the day, October 26th? The ones you believe you can beat and the ones you believe will give you a good challenge.
That's an interesting one. I won't say I believe I can beat everyone, but I believe I can beat a good number.
That's right.
And that's what's going to make it competitive. But there are people I would love to see. There are people I'm challenging, and this is still not an exhaustive list. I am challenging Percy Crow. Percy Crow is
Percy Crow, when he challenges the person, then
I know him. He can't kick penalties. If he thinks I'm lying, he should come and prove me wrong.
Percy Crow, Premier Health Insurance. Percy Crow, I'm challenging you to be there.
That's right.
Festus Tete, my brother from Macedon.
Boss Festus.
And Chief Ken, the interesting thing about Festus Tete is that he has legendary genes. He has legendary blood. So Festus Tete is the son of the legendary Ajin Tete, the Olympian.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
The man who brought us the Dansoman Kife Club, the man who instituted what is now the FMB marathon, FMB marathon, which previously was the Milo marathon, marathon. So he is the son of the legend.
The founder of that Keep Fit Club.
Festus Tete is the son of the legendary Ajin Tete. I'll leave it here.
Festus Tete.
This information is
going to get interesting.
This information is conditional.
He is the one.
Okay.
And it is the reason I am aiming to meet him on the field.
That's right.
He should come and prove himself.
Hold on, Chief Care. From Macedon are the producers of Cowbell.
Very well.
Hey, he has to come.
He has to come and come well.
He has to come and bell the cow.
Yeah.
That's the guy. All right. Who else? Let's go.
Oh, we have Julian Opuni, my good friend, Fidelity Bank.
Julian.
Yes.
He'll pay winning for us like
Julian, he dey play ball rough.
Right.
I know him.
Yes.
Julian.
Ball rough. Okay. Who's next?
Kwame Asemprempe.
I have a question. Nat.
Yeah.
Which legendary father does he have?
Mr. Prempe.
When you hear the name Prempe, what again do you want?
Mr. Prempe.
Ghana here, when you hear the name Prempe, what again do you want?
Chief Ken, who is next?
Mr. Prempe.
We have Sean Yeo of Wilma.
Son.
Yes.
What's his last name?
Yeo.
I don't know.
You need to.
Player. Just in pound.
So as for him, when you want to pass the ball to him, you don't say this. You say yo.
We have Tavona of Old Mutual.
Great.
Yes.
This guy is there. Obed is
under the
there.
circumstances, we need Clifford Brahima from Ghana Water Company. He must be there.
From
I
Ghana
am
Water.
challenging him.
Yes.
He
Ghana
should
Water.
show up.
Boss Clifford.
Brahima.
Boss
He should
Clifford.
show up.
Brahima. He's related. Is he related to the legendary goalkeeper Razak Brahima?
Oh, but you see, let me tell you something. Family history, when you come from the north and you are called Brahima,
yes,
there is no way you cannot be related.
You over me.
The Vim not TikTok this thing. They give me impressions that he's making it up. But Chief Ken, let's go.
KGL.
Oh
Alex
yes.
Zade.
Yes.
KGL.
And you
Yes.
know, Mr. Alex Zade, Chief Ken, may the Lord bless you for mentioning Mr. Alex Zade, because Mr. Alex Zade is a big sponsor in our football. You know that, right?
Yes.
Under 70, yeah.
Very well. And then he also happens to be the EMY Africa man of the year, reigning man of the year.
Yes,
he will be handing over to another man of the year this year. So this will be a good way of wrapping it up. But you see, can he replicate the man of the year exploits on the pitch?
He's the man. He's the man.
And we need Joel Nete.
Yes.
Oh, Joel Nete.
Joel Nete, touch point communication.
Joel Nete is the first black African or black man to become president of the International Advertising Association. Give him fans for Joel Nete is a big man.
Is he related to Jacob Nete?
Hey, you see, like I told you.
It's okay. It's okay, Chief. Let's go.
So,
Nat is okay.
Our friend Kwamina of Stanbic Bank.
Oh, yeah, great player.
Kwamina, Stanbic Bank.
Yes, Mr. Kwamina Smeni of Stanbic Bank. Let me tell you something.
How many times have I called his name?
3 times. May the Lord bless you. You see, Chief Ken is a man of custom. We are coming into a system, or we exist in a system of customary law. You know, Stanbic Bank are the first winners of the Joy Sports Invitational. The legendary Mr. Larson and Danny oversaw that victory in the very first year, many years ago.
That's right.
At that time, Chief Ken had done some small transfer, some big money transfer from multimedia to the other place where they do the IT. But we have brought him back.
Yes.
We've got big money.
If Stanbic are the first to win, Jose Mourinho will say football. Heritage.
Chief Olatunji of Access Bank.
My chief. My chief.
So
Osimhen.
He dey play ball wrong.
Osimhen.
Head him back.
Chief.
Charlie, if you cross the ball, go.
Chief, we salute you. You see, when you have Matilda Santiesiedu leading the women's penalty shootout team.
That's right.
And giving them all the info. But we have to watch Tilly very well because Tilly is a product of multimedia. So we have to be very
insider
careful.
trading.
Yes, insider information.
But I will consult, Owusu Pepra, Evans Mensah, and all my colleague editors here. Well, we have to speak to them.
When you are mentioning some of the editors' name, be careful. Some of them have left feet.
Okay.
So I beg you.
Chief Ken, please carry on.
Hey, Richard Niamakwe.
Oh, Bills Microfinance. Bills Microfinance. But you see, that day, I said the winning bonus where they go pay that day. Richard Niamakwe recently rebranded at the Kempinski Gold Coast City. And you see, he gave out cars. To his staff.
If Chief Ken's mention my name, what will you say about me?
Oh, Charlie, relax. We haven't got to there. When we get there,
because
your name will come up, not yet.
Because it's like the man has relied on every CEO in this country.
Guys, I don't want to exhaust all your time. Let me run to a few more quickly.
Please go.
Right?
We'll just give them vim.
We have our brother Eddie Boche who has moved from EcoBank to Apsa.
We'll see you there.
Big boy.
Okay.
Big boy. Very calm.
Yeah, my people. Because my brother's wife works for there, so
you have to see him.
Yeah, so the tights Apsa, yeah.
And Dr. Da Costa Boaje, National Health Insurance.
All injuries are catered for.
Our brother Kwekwe Isi of Minerals Commission. The names are so many.
Chief Ken. Yes. It's a series.
It's a series.
So
yes.
you have to pause at some point.
No, let me add one more. Just one more.
One more, please.
Eric Sedikuchoche.
Please, start time and mention his name again, and I'll give you the
Eric.
Charlie, that one, I'll join you.
Eric.
Yeah.
Sadi.
Yes.
Kutoche.
Yes.
Thank you.
The brother of George Kutoche.
First guy group. Thank you.
Construction ambassador in bro.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
And you see, Eric Sadi Kutoche is a serial entrepreneur. Say serial entrepreneur. May the Lord bless all of you.
Amen.
Dr. Randiabe,
yes.
the executive committee Charlie, there is some link there. I'll tell you about that one.
Yeah, more action.
So first guy group, we have to watch Eric Sadi Kutoche very well.
That's right.
They wear some glasses. I don't know whether they said
where they wear correct shoes. They wear correct shoes.
Eric Sadi Kutoche.
Charlie.
Permit me to close this edition.
Yes.
On this one, our dear and beloved sister, Patience Achiano of Pollard Insurance.
Put your hands together. Put your hands together.
Oh, they are in trouble. If Patience is playing, don't forget.
Everybody.
Let me tell you what's on.
Great at Appiah, great at Pollard.
So you see, Patience is one of those high-end talents. You see, in the football world, we'll say he's a high-end talent because you see, you can't pay the transfer fee for somebody to move from Apsa to Holland.
Yeah.
From Apsa
That is
to
what
Holland.
happened.
Yes,
Yeah.
from red
Wonder
to purple. Charlie, put your hands
Wonder
together for her. Put your
Thank
hands
you,
together for her.
thank you.
All right.
So, Mrs.
Chief
Patience
Ken,
Achiano, we're expecting her for the female penalty.
Last
female
words
penalty shootout.
before we come back again next week.
I am not going to give any last words
Fine.
because we are still in motion.
We are in motion. I would like
We are
to
still
thank.
in motion.
I would like
It's
to
a
thank
game
you.
in progress. So guys,
Thank
when
you.
your name has been called and you haven't started training, please,
Look sharp.
because
I have got a message from a good friend of mine, and he says, Tavona is the captain of our football team. We are training tonight at Ghana Gas Pitch ahead of the games.
Charlie.
You know what, Danica, you know who sent the message?
Oh, I know him.
Obed.
Obed.
Okay.
I know him.
Chief Ken, and just before you go, I've received a message from Mauli Zogbenu of the National Insurance Commission. You know, recently they collaborated with us to do a few things, and I had to do the sports link from Dr. Indum's beach resort. You know, as at the talk, then the breeze
they enter you.
blew ahead. When Stiamwa was seated somewhere, you know, having a drink and talking about some things, and Mr. Michael Kofi Andor is the acting commissioner of the National Insurance Commission. I hear they are preparing him in some corner somewhere. They don't want to reveal yet. So we will talk about him later.
Okay.
All right, Chief
Okay.
Ken, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you,
This was
guys.
so much fun. And we will keep reminding all of you, if you haven't registered yet, this is how to do it. So I'm sure a lot of you who are listening are wondering how you can register. Just call this number. Muftar Nabila Abdullah will give you one. I give you another one. But Muftar, what are the numbers to call?
Okay.
The first one, 0540 106 466.
Okay.
0540 106 466. His name is Slevin. Slevin. So when you call Slevin, tell him you want to register your company for the Joy Sports Invitational on October 26. 0540 106 466. Or
054 9126 905. 054 9126 905. If you want me to register on your behalf, just let me know. If you call the first number too and want us to register on your behalf, we'll register for you. Is that
that's
simple?
right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief
Thank you,
Ken.
thank you,
This was
thank
a
you.
pleasure. And for all of you, thank you. All right, we're going to switch it up. We have a big debate. I told you guys about it. Your messages are welcome. So the big debate here, question is Michael Essien Ghana's biggest football export to Europe? Is he? If not, who is? Okay. 055 1111997 055 1111997. I've got some messages here that I'd like to read before we continue. When I heard Hagi say Zegzi can become a prolific scorer, I just saw Sicho laughing. I shook my head and said, God have mercy. In Haji, we trust. Interesting. They've got another message here. Lots of messages have come through on that WhatsApp number. This one says, look, guys, this is the reality. Folks occupying decision-making offices, top to bottom, are joking about big qualifications and grammar course. If that's the case, the story will be different today. Though the eye is wide open, they are blind, can't think, got no vision and direction, is just try and error. Where is the competence? There's a big difference between being educated and going to school. Ghana got a lot of novices and higher certificates, hence this is all. Share. Are you sure the message is about our show?
Yeah. He's talking about the pitch panel, the pitch
I get
covering
it.
thing.
I get it. Fair enough. Good afternoon, guys. I'm loving all the discussions. Am I invited? And which game are we taking part in? We've mentioned a lot of the Efo Mauli from La Paz, Muftawa, some of the games. A lot of them are Lime and Spoon.
There's Lime and Spoon, there's sack race, there's
mixed relay, tag of war, tag of peace, football, basketball, volleyball,
in fact, if you're a fan of e-games, you can come
we'll have a PlayStation.
There's Ludo, there's draft, everything.
Yeah,
everything.
and if your game is beer too,
you go play tennis.
For you,
You go play tennis.
Yes,
we'll
play tennis.
We will.
For you, table tennis.
Lawn tennis.
Table tennis.
Even pool, we'll have pool there.
Okay,
fantastic.
I've got a message here. It says, Fed, is it Afro you are doing or is it Rasta? It's all on a lighter note, though. I beg. I see how you give it to people on X, and I don't want to be one of them. Bright in this Lego. And he says, Gary is following your footsteps like nobody's business. These days, I've been asking myself if that's actually his sex account. We are also human beings, so if you give me, you collect. That one there.
When I was giving it to people, you say, you join the party.
Oh, please.
People are misbehaving. Put them in their places.
Yes. Yeah, they talk like we are not human beings. We don't have feelings. He said, as for DK, he's a veteran in the business of giving it to people. You get what you give, press down, shaking together, and running over. Bright in this Lego. Send that message. Thank you, Bright, for that. This message says, Sula Ali Muntari is the only treble winner from Ghana. He's the greatest football expert for Ghana. Kelly Ozil from Accra. We've got 20 minutes to the end. I'm going to try and open this debate up to the guys. Sitio for Philip Atrim.
Yes.
I'd like to begin with you.
Quick. We don't have
is
time,
Michael Essien our biggest football export to Europe? We got 5 minutes to make a compelling point for me. If not, who is?
To Europe.
Yes.
To Europe, it's got to be Essien. To Europe, it's got to be Essien.
No, not Sameko 4?
No. To Europe,
not Abedi?
Not Abedi.
Okay.
To Europe,
I'm listening.
Yeah, it's got to be Essien. If you're looking around the world, I'll mention that name, but to Europe, it's got to be Essien. And that's largely because of how successful he was when he played and at the time that he played. You know, when Essien burst onto the scene in Europe, in his early years, we knew he was promising. He really started hitting his peak with Lyon. Then the one thing that really turned everything for him was when he was going to Chelsea. Mm-hmm. Okay, Essien is that one single player who I've seen turn close to about 50% of the country into Chelsea fans. And that is why when people tell Chelsea fans that they started supporting Chelsea because of Essien in 2004, they like to disagree all they like, but it's a fact that nobody really likes to point out.
I'm not ashamed to admit it.
Yeah,
he's my favorite Chelsea player of all time.
When he went there, he went as the most expensive African player in the history of football at the time. And when he went there as well, he went into a club that were assembling some superstars. So it's not like he was going into a team where, he was the big boy. He had to go. The manager wanted him. He knew what he could do, but he had to go there and justify himself. And it didn't take him time to settle into Chelsea. But when he did settle, he played for one of the most successful Chelsea teams we've ever seen, right? He was part of that team that they would play, they would concede goals. Everybody was scared to play against them. They were annoying, they were real men, and he was part of that group. Look, he conquered England by winning every single trophy there was to win in England. He won the League Cup, he won the FA Cup multiple times, he won the Premier League multiple times, he won the Community Shield. He ended up winning the Champions League as well with Chelsea. And in between that time, because of how good he was and how versatile he was, he could easily then be moved from Chelsea at the time where Chelsea felt maybe he was slowing down into Real Madrid on loan. He went on to AC Milan, and in the twilight of his career went to the Azerbaijan, but that part I don't even consider it. So when you talk about a proper football talent that was exported from Ghana to Europe, for me it's got to be Michael Essien, where there's the way he excelled and the consistency and the level at which he played, and in the time at which he played. He was part of a Chelsea team that were going to usurp Man United and Arsenal, and they broke that duopoly and they were successful. So when you talk about our biggest export to Europe, for me, it's got to be.
I've got a question for you. How much did that influence his global image in terms of even selling the country because of his singular achievement in Europe? How much did that impact in the global image of the country? And I ask that question compared to the others who have also made an impact in Europe. And I'm thinking Tony Yeboah, for example, when he went to England and what he did for Leeds, even before that at Eintracht Frankfurt, going on to become the first black captain they've ever had, being Bundesliga top scorer back-to-back seasons. Then you look at Sami Kufuor, who had a phenomenal, highly successful period at Bayern Munich, winning the Champions League as an integral member, winning everything there is to win in Germany, dominating in the process. Then Abedi Pele, also in 1993, and before that, winning African Footballer of the Year 3 years in a row while playing in Europe for one of the most successful teams in Europe. At the time, also winning the Champions League, and not just doing it, but being the best African player at the time. All these arguments in favor of all these people, and you look at the arguments for Mike Lesson during that, like in the time that he was at Chelsea, you made the good points about his achievements on the pitch. But even at the time, he wasn't necessarily the best player on the continent. But these others that I just mentioned, at the time they were achieving those things, they were the best on the continent.
Yeah, best players have always favored players who have played in the attacking end of the pitch, so there's no problem. When I get that, Essien would have won a lot more in the time that he played if these awards were fed some of these players. But the reason, so when I mentioned that at the time Essien joined Chelsea and what he was doing, it actually coincided with the time the national team of Ghana was rising into world prominence. For some of the others, Ghana was only an African, if you like, known in African
superpower,
because we're an African superpower. But in Michael Essien's time, do you remember there used to be a Ghanaian flag hanged at one of the corners of the Stamford Bridge?
Yeah. For like 3 years in a row.
More than 3 years. Until he, like, it was there. So every time Ghana flag day there.
Yeah.
Michael Essien, because of Michael Essien, right? And at the time Michael Essien was at Chelsea, it was playing well and dominating, playing every game, was a key player to the team. It coincided with the time the Black Stars were rising. So when people looked at Essien, they wanted to look at which country was playing for and how well they were doing. And we're doing so well because then we earned our first World Cup qualification. We went to host the AFCON and go to the finish with bronze. We went again to the World Cup. In that period, one of the players who actually many would look to and quickly remember the national team was Michael Essien. Because he played in the biggest league, he played very well, he was successful there. But for most of the players you mentioned, even though they were balling and killing it in Europe, their national teams on the global stage were not doing well. So people would have to dig in deep to see what they were doing in Ghana. It wasn't much because the national team wasn't doing great.
So their performances were not drawing eyes to Ghana, is what you're saying?
It wasn't necessarily, and even if you drew eyes, they couldn't find them because they were on the global stage. They were only on the African terrain. But during Essien's time, the eyeballs could see Ghana because Ghana then was on the global stage. And it was a key part of pushing Ghana to that global stage.
Fair enough. So for you, it's Michael. DK?
I agree with Michael. And Michael Essien is the only Ghanaian player who's been nominated for the Ballon d'Or 3 years in a row.
That's also true.
So 2005, 2006, 2007. And you don't make that short list if you are just an average player. You have to be a world beater to be consistent. And that just shows his consistency that Citro is talking about. Now, to enter Chelsea as an African record at the time, he was the most expensive African player at the time, which is a big deal. And then to go on to cement that the essence of that price tag by giving off consistent performances, winning the league, winning the FA Cup, winning the League Cup, and then going on to help Ghana to qualify for a World Cup. In fact, going into the World Cup, Essien was the face of Ghana. He was a star man. He was a poster boy there. All the reports, everything was Michael Essien, especially outside Ghana. And that is just to buttress how much he sold the country in that regard. And for me, that is huge. You are talking about the 10 in the growing support for Chelsea even from in the country. Mm-hmm. It was largely due to Essien's transfer. Look, a Ballon d'Or finish, top 30 finish 3 years in a row for a Ghanaian player. It's even right now it is difficult for us to get a top 30 finish once. Now Essien did it 3 times in a row. And the funny thing is that in 2008 he only missed out because he was injured a chunk of the season. Yeah. Mm-hmm. His versatility, the ability to play in different positions, all these things gave him a lot of prominence in Europe. There are so many quotes. Mourinho is talking about it. His ex-Chelsea teammates are talking about it. That guy who just came in, and I was reading something interesting. The opinion pieces when Chelsea were buying Essien. I was reading it last night. The BBC had a couple. In fact, it was like a whole piece. So it's like their panel. They still do it today. So like all of us, then you write what you think. I'll write what I think. Some were comparing him to to Makelele, but he wasn't up there. He wasn't defensively as sound as Makelele. Somebody was talking about Lampard. Then I went to read after the 2008 Champions League final. And obviously it wasn't the same group of people, but there were still some names that overlapped. And you could tell, it was like this guy literally came in and he's lived up to the price tag. He didn't have the branding per se, that star boy branding in Europe as so the Drogba's and co, because obviously there was the Chelsea team was full of big men, so it would be very difficult for you to be able to hold your own in terms of that brand power. But in terms of performances and in terms of how much he sold the country, I don't think anybody comes close. You would mention Sami Kufuor, you've mentioned Tony Yeboah. I think Tony Yeboah's own was more of like a club level thing. When you go to England, it's the Leeds United fans that really carry him or hold him in high regard.
Not the Premier League.
Not necessarily the Premier League as a whole. When you go to Germany, yes, he did it. Top scorer.
In other words, Essien is a bigger Premier League great than Tony Yeboah. Tony Yeboah did brilliantly in the Bundesliga. For when you read during the time, he was a big deal, but it didn't transcend the Bundesliga. That's the difference. But we are saying Europe here, so yes. Bundesliga counts.
Yeah, when I'm saying it didn't transcend the Bundesliga, I'm saying Champions League.
Okay.
It was a league thing.
Yeah, it was a league thing. It was so. And the only one who I think will come close in terms of achievements on paper will be Abedi Pele. But when you look at what happened in the 92-93 Champions League season, which was supposed to be probably his biggest achievement, the fact that entire Man City team was tainted. They were stripped of the league title because of match fixing. They ended up being demoted. They didn't have the opportunity to defend the title. There was doping allegations surrounding the whole team. The fact that they were injected before the fight. There were so many stories around them. And in fact, that's even one of the reasons why the French journalists don't necessarily even celebrate that because it's almost embarrassing to talk about it. So it's not something.
But none of that was Abedi's fault, though.
No, I'm not saying it's Abedi's fault.
No, I didn't say you said that. I'm just putting it out there.
If I'm taking it out to go and argue against somebody, it is not a point I'll use because that is even the owners. Marseille is the only French team that has won the Champions League, the rebranded Champions League. Yet French journalists don't praise that Marseille team. It's almost, as I'm saying, it's almost yeah. So it's when you look at that and how tainted that Champions League winning campaign was for the team, it's very difficult for you to compare it with what.
But that's team though. But individually, Abedi was a stand-up player.
That thing affected all the players in that. Look, in that 93 season, there was only one Ballon d'Or nominee in the top 30 for Marseille, and they won the league and they won the championship. It was only Basoboli who was nominated for the
one who scored the winner.
The one who scored the winner.
Final.
It basically tainted the whole team, and it has a way of affecting your legacy. So the only person who can compare with Michael Essien will probably be Sami Kufuor. But even him, when you talk about influence, and the influence even outside of the league, outside, I think Essien.
He won the Champions League.
Yeah, he won.
He was a key player. He played in 2 Champions League finals as well, just like Essien. Won one of them, key player. Fair, Essien won the Champions League, but that season he didn't really play much.
And that's one very key point.
And he didn't play in the final.
One very key point. I just wanted to add 2 quick things before you wrap up and he comes in.
No,
now, I was going. Thank you. So I was going to hammer on the element.
And Sule won the treble.
Yeah, I was going to hammer on the element of a player.
on the bench. Essien didn't play much, but Sule won treble. He didn't play much. Okay.
No, I just pointed it out. It's a fact.
I'm glad you brought this up because you see, I'm also very big on a player's participation in the moments of history to seal the legacy. So for me, I always cringe when I think about the fact that Essien had to be there on the bench watching everything happen in that Champions League final under Di Matteo. Okay? It was a key moment because for me, all the years of toil, all the build-up that both of you have very well articulated would have been sealed and been given that icing on the cake with him playing in that final and cementing it. Because when you go back to the fans, some of the key things they remember are those moments of history because it was key for them.
Solidified himself in the Chelsea's history.
Thank you very much.
Like Ryan Bertrand.
Thank you very much. Now, you talk about influence outside of the Premier League, and I would refer to 2 key things. And let's make this very clear with our listeners and our viewers that this is not to say we are belittling anybody.
No, not at all.
This is just for the purpose of conversation and for the purpose of putting a few key things out there. I remember when Ghana beat Nigeria in that very big friendly in London.
Yes.
By 4 goals. You remember that?
2-7.
Kevin Kotic.
Very good. After that game, I found myself in Lagos doing a few things. At the time, there was a lot going on in football politics for the Wafu Zone, and we had to, a couple of journalists had to go into Lagos to have a conversation with Dr.
Was it the one you
Amos
went
Adamu.
on the private jet?
That one be different. Hey, Charlie, this man won't bring.
But you've done
Sicho,
plenty private jets, so
Sicho, don't talk.
everybody knows.
I beg you.
Okay, boss.
Is it Latino and Natuso?
207. The man was flying private jet to Nigeria
Charlie,
to go and do football politics.
Charlie. So listen, So I remember very well that I had some friends in corporate Nigeria having a chat with me, and we spoke about that game. And you know, of course, when we meet like that, when young guys meet like that, it is about who is superior. And you know the conversation about Ghana and Nigeria, especially in football. And I was very proud at the time because it was me against about 4 of them. And then they mentioned 2 players. They mentioned Junior Agogo and Michael Essien. And they were particular about Michael Essien and his influence and his command in the midfield. So you see, while we're talking about trophies and silverware and everything, you're also talking about the player's quality on ground. I'm glad that you guys have already mentioned the element of the player doing a smooth transfer and moving immediately at the train space, immediately when he got to, when he moved from Lyon to the English Premier League. That was a very key requirement, and there was a lot of expectation at the time of Michael Essien having made that very big move and that record move. So for me, like I said, the element of him not participating was key. And then also, you do know that there's heavy consumption of the English Premier League in Nigeria because of the pioneering influences of the likes of Nwankwo Kanu. You understand me? So it was a big conversation for us, and that was one of the key measures for me in terms of seeing who from Ghana had made that impression on the rest of the world from the English Premier League. Put that aside. When we went to when we went to Brazil in 2014, I covered the Brazil 2014 World Cup. Now, I remember very well for that game in Fortaleza. By the way, I almost didn't go for that game because, Charlie, we went to Fortaleza Beach before getting, myself.
Then Mr. Nat, skip it and
let's skip it.
Yes.
Otherwise, today I'll be asked a few questions at home.
You participated in the coconut spree.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll talk about it.
The coconut drinking spree.
No, me, I ate tilapia completa. Charlie, so I remember very well that during that game, the pre-game formalities, they'd mention a name and the stadium will go, hey. And do remember that we had a minute element when it came to our presence in the stands. Yeah. Aziz, Futa, and a few guys. Charlie, it was so sad.
Because we had flown people there on the day of that match, the day we were eliminated from the tournament. Want me to go into it?
No, that was in Portugal. This was Germany. Germany
match.
Germany,
Okay.
So
Portugal match, we took the people there the day of the match.
So it was as bad as you could get out of an elevator, okay, and meet 3 generations of Germans. You could meet the grandfather, father, and son. 3 generations. And I saw it right there. Now, they mentioned a name. They mentioned Thomas Müller. Then you could actually feel the stadium, vibrate. There were 3 players who got acknowledgement from the German fans who made the majority on the day. I'm talking Kevin Prince Boateng for very obvious reasons. Because Kevin Prince Boateng is one of their own. And then came Andre Didiayew. Yes. And then came Michael Essien, who was on the bench.
Yeah.
And guess what? The FIFA cameras focused on him on the bench. Ideally, the focus would be on the players who are playing. And for places like FIFA, for their media outfit and what they want to put out there in terms of the images and everything, they are looking at brands that bring eyeballs and brands that bring attention. You go back to the video. Look, it was amazing. I was there in hospitality enjoying myself, and then I heard bang.
He just said he was reporting. Now he was
yes.
And
but you can report from everywhere.
Before we go on, I'd want to
Charlie, but you chill on this job.
I want to celebrate the memory of Modestus Zame. Modestus was with us. He was our head camera technician. I remember a picture of myself and him in the mixed zone, But anyway, Charlie, so long and short, quick before you go on. Charlie, so those elements become very key in acknowledging a player's influence outside of their comfort zone, which is home or where they've played football.
Yeah.
And so I think that Essien, when you look at the whole, but however, that bit of him not featuring on, in that game, in the
even
final,
for him, I'm sure he paid him.
yeah, Charlie, he paid him.
Bottom line, like the Knight said, all of it is in respect, and great respect to every single Ghanaian player that has gone to Europe and made a mark, has come in, contributed to the national team, contributed to the country's economic growth. Every single one of you, we appreciate you. Obviously, this is not to belittle anybody's achievement, and we've had great players go to Europe and made huge impact there, and we have massive respect for every single one of you. So, big respect. And for Essien, I think, and this came up because obviously in that interview, he said that he hopes Ghanaians appreciate what he did for the country. And I'm here to say that we duly appreciate. Before we go, big happy birthday to Dr. Majid Idrisu of the National Communications Authority. God bless you, my big brother. And I'm sure there'll be a party. I will be the first to appear at that party. Yes.
Happy belated birthday to my beautiful wife.
Yes. Yesterday was Karen's birthday.
This is Selassie Karen.
Yeah. Charlie, madam, you spot it. How did the celebration
No,
go?
because of her, we should have brought game plan to Thursday.
Hold on. Mrs. Karen Philip Sijofe Achri.
Yes.
You spot it. Thank you very much. That's our show for today. Brought to you by Petrosol and Betway. My name is Fentio, Tahir Fentio. We're back again next Friday. Up next, of course, is the BBC World Service.